But this is what I'm saying, because I understand the premise of the show. I understand. I do. It's black people in college. I've seen a couple episodes. Take it down a notch. Like, I mean, this nigga is over here making it seem like it's fucking Dante's Inferno. It's a sitcom about niggas in college. I understand it's near and dear to your heart, but take it down a notch. Shakespeare shit.
King. Like when you're on that Sean King, like I don't know what Sean King does when he gets off Twitter and Facebook. Like, does he chill and watch Game of Thrones? Does he like what is sex with Sean King like?
Okay, damn.
How did we get here?
I mean, no, I'm just saying.
You were doing so well.
Out. Oh God.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Black Astronauts present Blacketology, the grand finale right in time for the NCAA football championship, where we are counting down the top 12 black shows of all time. And we are here at the Final Four to crown a greatest black show ever champion. GBS championship. You see, I just did that.
You did
GBSE, a GBSE championship.
You did that.
Thank you. Real quick, I want to run down the rules, that how we got here, and then Ray's going to jump in with the final four contestants, because we already had some beef that we'll probably have to recook in a second about who some people that should have made it and didn't. But I want to make it clear as to why we got where we got to as of now. So first off, we cut it to 16 shows altogether. The shows had to fit three particular rules. Number one, the show already had to have finished airing its original run. And this was to cut out all the modern shows because, you know, whether you recognize it or not, we're kind of in a renaissance of black TV, stuff like Atlanta.
Blackish.
Insecure.
Grownish.
Right. All these shows, these shows wouldn't have been made 10 years ago. They wouldn't have been made in the pre-Obama world. And so it's kind of unfair to put some of these shows, Insecure is another one. It's unfair to put shows like that against shows from the 90s. We were just kind of Bambi deer-legging it out with a lot of black shows. Plus, those shows might end up like Scandal and just be trashed the last 4 or 5 seasons.
Just taking shots.
Just jump right in there. Just jump right in there. Right. So it had to have had its original run happen already. Number two, it had to have at least 3 seasons. So you got stuff like Thea, South Central. Give me something else.
Sinbad.
Sinbad had more than 3 seasons, didn't it?
No.
Jesus.
The Get Out show with Dwayne Martin. You remember that one? Like,
is she trying to talk, or is she back in the sucker place?
I think she was doing sign language. It's great. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, so all of those shows that only had like 1 season that was real dope, it's kind of unfair to compare them to shows that had to come up with material for 5, 6, 7. I think the longest running show was Family Ties for 9 seasons or something like that. Family Ties. What the fuck? No. What is it? Family Matters. What the hell is Family Ties? Anyway, no, it's not better.
I said it is a show.
The last criteria was no reality shows or variety shows. It had to be a long-running sitcom or drama. Just because, again, you got stuff like Chappelle's Show and Living Color, where, I don't know, I just feel like it's not fair to put them in the same category as, you know, Fresh Prince, etc. Just because it's 2 different styles of show, and it's a lot harder to have a long-running narrative with characters than to, you know, say I got some dope-ass sketches, or, you know, something like Flavor of Love that's just a train wreck that you can't look away from.
Oh, man.
Anyway, so those was the rules. With those rules in mind, these Negroes came up with 3 of the top 4 shows that are left, and then one of them I'll let them name. So, Ray, can you go ahead and give us the final 4?
In the last round, the Fresh Prince went up against Girlfriends, in which the Fresh Prince won. And then, let's see, the Cosby Show went up against Boondocks, in which, in an upset, the Boondocks won. Then there was Martin, and it went up against The Wire. in which Martin prevailed, and then there was
that was the tightest one so far.
All-out brawl against Living Single and A Different World.
Post the fucking location, Teddy.
So let's just start there.
Let's just say this. In that one, Living Single prevailed. In that episode, who was there? It was me, Feek, Teddy, and Ceewhy.
Right, and this is a perfect chance to say it's me, Raven, Lloyd, and Feek on the call tonight. So go ahead.
And so we've decided, because there was some serious backlash, still ongoing backlash. I will say some of it is at the edging on of Teddy, who won't just leave well enough to fuck alone.
He also won't post his location, so we know he's not about that life. Pull up, Ted.
And so we've decided that we will rehash the conversation. And I feel like, since there is two people on the call who are clearly upset, I feel like it's, again, biased against one show, that I will step in and argue for Living Single. I won't argue against A Different World, but I will argue for Living Single. I mean, I can't argue against Different World. I haven't seen really any of it. So I just think that this will make better conversation. So let's start there.
Yeah.
Between Living Single and Living Single in A Different World, where does everyone fall?
All right, so let me just say, me being in Louisville, Kentucky, 9-5 something, holla at me. My location is such, Lloyd. I'll let you go first, since you weren't actually on the call.
Yes.
Exactly.
Lloyd.
All right.
No,
she's conceded.
You're not gonna do that.
She's completely conceded.
She did not concede.
So it is.
Oh, I haven't conceded. I just was on mute.
I'm about to say, she hasn't conceded. She's at the order, my nigga. That's what she has.
She's
putting in your location.
Okay. Anytime you ready, Teddy, because I'm in the wonderful city of Cincinnati, which means Kentucky's right next door. Like,
all right, but yeah, go ahead. Make your case for this TV show.
well, as someone who has seen both and seen all episodes of both,
As have I.
I'm not denying that Living Single had very influential episodes as well as an influential presence on TV, because that's why we have Friends. And all the white people who are listening to this ready to argue with me, no, debate your grannies, not me. But for me, it's going to be A Different World. And I can't believe that you really put Living Single over A Different World. Why?
So before Feek starts his 5-minute thing, so why? What did you enjoy so much about Different World? Help us understand what we missed.
Well, I'm not old as dirt as you niggas are. Start there. Okay. I didn't know Burger King when he was a prince. So for me, A Different World made me want to go to college. We could just start there, and that's just my base reason. But I felt like they had a lot of crucial episodes that maybe I just don't remember from Living Single. But the episodes about the way Black women are treated in society against Black men, that was a good episode. I think that was like season 3. The fact that they had realistic characters like Jaleesa, who wasn't your traditional freshman. She was a 27-year-old freshman. Who else? Let's see. Sinbad. I'm going through my list. And for the love of Shaza Zulu, like, he made the whole show.
The first ever Hotep depicted in media.
Like, that's important. He was
the
like
first Hotep to get clowned for Hotepery.
I don't know. I think there could be a strong case for George Jefferson.
No.
I'm saying
not at all.
Shahzad got called out at a spoken word.
I mean, man,
is the embracement of like the Pan-Africanism, and George Jefferson wasn't about that.
I don't know. He was about capitalism,
true.
But
that's the
I don't know.
Key ingredient.
I don't know.
Listen.
All right, go ahead.
This is what I'm gonna do though. In the heel turn. So 2 things. One, I just message Rock, who's returning to the show, because I wanted to check my conscience, because my conscience said, "Fuck these niggas. Let them go ahead and take these L's for making this mistake." You know, nobody listens to Feek. The people don't listen to Feek, and the consequences are served. I don't know how many times we have to record on record how Feek was right and other folks was wrong, and have it pop up. But I was just like, you know, let them do that. I was like, no, you know what? It's the better show. It deserves the spot. And I picked it to win from jump.
Okay.
And then I messaged Rock, and Rock said living single. So I'm like, fuck all y'all.
Oh!
None of y'all are my friends.
Vindication. Is that
None of y'all are my friends.
So you were telling this story.
His excuse is, Rock, I can't wait till you hear this. I can't wait to talk to you about this next time you're on the show. Here's his reasoning. Okay. Different World was great, but they kept changing central characters. Nigga, what? That's what makes it so amazing.
I don't know.
That's what makes it so amazing.
Like, I don't know. But I don't know if anyone's ever said, like, yo.
Because they keep changing.
Yo, like, you know why I love Seinfeld?
I guess that's a fair argument.
Season 1, they focused on Kramer, but season 2, ooh, it was all about Elaine. Like, what?
No. Because first off, that's not accurate. What they did is they started season 1 because they thought it was going to be. Let me get into my nerd pocket real quick, my TV trivia pocket on y'all.
Like you never left.
You clearly didn't. Like I know you ain't watched the show at all. And Lloyd, you only 17 years old, so you don't know the lore, and that's cool. But I appreciate you being my side right there. All right?
You can't attack your Teddy. You can't attack your allies, bro.
Let me school you real quick, Teddy.
Yeah.
The show started out, as I'm sure you know, as a Lisa Bonet spinoff, much like Grownish is expecting to be now.
Can we pause to appreciate how fine she is?
Lisa Bonet?
Yeah.
I was like, I hope you're not talking about.
She's still fine as fuck 17,000 years later.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she is. Her and
focus.
So Lisa Bonet wasn't feeling it. I can't remember the full story, but now in retrospect, it probably has something to do with Bill Cosby being a rapist. I'm not even joking. Like, I promise you that's probably what something.
Well, the story goes, Mr. Cosby, you know, the rapist, Lisa Bonet got pregnant. He was upset about it because he apparently offset. He treated them like his kids for real. So he, instilled a lot of that respectability politics in her, and that ended up causing a rift between them. So he removed her from the show and brought her back to the Cosby Show, more so to probably keep an eye on her. I think this was around the time of Lenny Kravitz.
This is really hurting both of your cases.
But
go ahead.
No, it's not. That's we're talking about the show, not about the show's lore in particular. But I'm trying to explain and throw down Rock's horrible argument real quick. So when they changed it from her, they didn't change it really after that. It was the same core characters from the second season on. Whitley, Dwayne Wayne, Ron, Jaleesa, Freddie, and I'm forgetting one. What was the girl that was the dark skinned one as a doctor?
Oh shit, Kim. that was the girl. Yeah.
Kim from Ohio, whose dad went to Ohio State.
Right. So thank you. And not to mention Mr. Stiegel, I don't know, aka Pops on the show, and all the other people that were like damn near real life people on the AUC at the time.
Mayor Clarence Royce from The Wire was on there too.
Yep. Yeah. Whoever the hell that is. I didn't watch The Wire, but I'm sure he was in that motherfucker. He was great.
I just wanted to point that out, that even though
anyway, the thing that Rock is clearly misunderstanding is that, like, in season 5, they added Jada Pinkett and a couple of other kids as freshmen because they had to make it make sense that we had these now adults that were still hovering around the school. And Dwayne Wayne, who was now Dwayne Wayne, who was now a professor. Whitley, who was like doing her own thing, and these other characters that were still hovering around. But we had to have young people to make sense that it was still about a show about college. But it never lost its focus on those main characters. Mm-hmm. It was a beautiful show, and I really regret not just that Ray Raggedy Behind hasn't watched it, but that a whole generation of kids are not gonna quite get it with Grownish, because Grownish I don't think is gonna fully. I see what Grownish is trying to do. Did y'all watch that the other day? It came out yesterday. Get a chance to watch it.
I did watch it. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
I enjoyed it. But my first thought after it was over was that this is not going to be a different world. Because A Different World had way more heart, because it like Lloyd has said, it tackled so many things. There was a story about date rape way in black communities way before it was touching that. The respectability politics stuff, the fraternity hazing stuff. Dwayne traveling to Japan and coming back with Ki Nunu, and having Whitley change her whole attitude. The love story behind all that. The show was great, and Living Single is a good show. But it was, you said that Friends took its template. That's because their template was pretty. I mean, like how many shows are about a woman? How many shows in the '90s are about a single woman working at a magazine? I'll wait.
Wait. That's what you think Living Single was based about?
That's the initial premise. Let me look that up real quick.
Yeah, so Queen Latifah. Yeah, no. Queen Latifah did have Flavor Magazine, true, but when you think of Living Single, is that what you think about?
No, I don't think of them. But your argument, what you used to be the deciding factor, was that you felt like it didn't get its due for creating that template that Friends took and ran with and became the biggest show with. And I'm arguing back that I don't know if it was the originator of that template, but that template was popular because it was kind of lame, and lame TV in the 90s was where it was at.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't think that was lame because a lame show took it.
I'm looking at it. There's like literally 11 TV shows and movies, all starring white women. I'll give you that, Teddy, about white women working at a magazine.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Well, Living Single wasn't about that. I'll give you that. That was just the premise.
There we go.
I just feel like the show, like maybe the show started out that way in the same way that A Different World started out about supposedly being centered around Lisa Bonet's character, and then over time it changed because of the development of the other characters around it. The thing that I like the most about Living Single is, like, I get what you're saying, and like I said, I think that A Different World is a great show. But the reason why I haven't watched it, first of all, was because I hadn't heard of it before it came on to Netflix, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, this show is so great," and I never really knew much about it. You know what I mean? Like, I kind of knew of it, but I didn't really.
Face today, Braven was born yesterday.
I was born in 1991. Fight me. So anyway. So, I never really knew much of anything about it. Then when it came on Netflix, it was just one of those shows that I was like, I'll get around to watching one day. So there's that. But I feel like the thing with Living Single is that it was one of the very first shows who showed black women as in different varying levels of professions and in different as professional women who lived together, and they, for the most part got along, and they had, just in the same way that you're saying that they covered, a bunch of topics on A Different World. They covered a lot of topics on Living Single. The one that stood out to me the most was the episode that they had where it was between Regine and her mother and how they didn't get along. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't remember that. What was that one about?
I remember it briefly, but as someone who's seen both shows, A Different World did that with Whitley and her mother.
Well, no, Regine's mom, it was the whole thing. Like, she was into shopping, and then she got along better with Khadijah. Like, yeah, that was a good plot line. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. I can tell by your voice.
Hey, no. I'm multitasking. No, go ahead. I'm listening to them. Shoot,
Teddy, you can't multitask and more. Focus.
Damn it. All right, okay. You're right.
Just overall, like, I feel like there's a couple of different shows that have come from the template of Living Single, but one of the shows that we argued for the best was Girlfriends. I feel like Girlfriends came from the template of Living Single. And I don't know. All I can say about Living Single is I feel like all the stuff that you're saying about A Different World is great, and like that's good, well, and fine. But Living Single is just superior. I think that but I will say this, they are two completely different shows, because like Living Single wasn't a show that hinged itself on really having serious conversations, but I don't think a show having serious conversation makes it better than another show. You know what I mean?
That's the thing that made it so great, is that, so Living Single, I'm struggling to remember a moment that was impactful from that show.
Well,
there it is.
I'm struggling.
Outside of the moment of Maxine and Kyle getting together, which
That was like the last episode, wasn't it?
Dangled it over your head for 17,000 seasons.
So no, Maxine and Kyle. Yeah, that was dope. But you know what? The only reason that was dope was because Whitley and Dwayne did it like 5 years ago. Go ahead, Teddy.
Maybe. So here's.
I think it was just dope because they literally teased that from like season 1. Like you felt the tension there, and it was like fucking finally. Oh God.
Literally.
Go ahead, Teddy.
So I think this is also a reflection of how we view our lives in some aspects. Because to me, college was cool, but it wasn't the best time of my life. So for me,
that's fair.
Different World was you looking back and saying Clark Atlanta was incredible. And let's be honest, Fee, it was shooting fish in a barrel. You were a young, intelligent man in Atlanta. You had.
I wasn't in Atlanta. I'm not.
Hold on. Wait. Listen to what I'm saying here. I gave you the floor. I'm reclaiming my time. All right. So here's the thing about it. So like, there's things that you can look at Different World and be like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. Like, yeah, or I want that in my college experience, and that's cool. That's fine. To me, living single was about what happened after college when you're actually trying to figure it out in your 20s. And for me, that was a more impactful time in my life. So, like, I can't throw shade for you to look at it that way because I look at living single and, think more like, okay, that's more relatable to what I went through. So, I don't know, man. I think the shows were both well written. We can all agree on that everyone who's seen it, right? Like, funny moments, good shows. And I'm not going to sit here and say Living Single had as much, like depth at times that Different World did. But should be wrong. But once again, though, that's not what to me makes the best show. It's an interesting point to think about. But for me, it's like what if I had a choice of turning on the TV and choosing between one or the other sitcom, I would choose Living Single. Period.
Well, that says a lot about you.
I agree. That's why we won.
I'm learning my shade tactics from Ray. Like how she's rubbing off me because I feel like I spoke through her with that last one. I couldn't even hold my face to commit to it.
That was a good one. Okay, so I will say, piggybacking off what Teddy said, I think that is a fundamental difference because even with the things that I have seen from a Different World, even though I went to a PWI, you know what I mean, just like being in a Black Greek letter organization, and having dealt with all of those things, whether it be with my black friends or my white friends in college. Like when I look back at college, I'm like, yeah, college was fun. I had my good times, all that other stuff. But I think that Living Single is one of my favorite shows because it resonates with me longer. Like I feel like I still am kind of living that living single life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Where I'm not married. I have some friends who are deeply committed relationships, and I actually know somebody who sounds like Overton when he talks, so it makes me happy.
And that's another fucking thing. What part of Cleveland was Overton from? Where? Well,
you don't know Cleveland well enough to know. It's the slave part of Cleveland. Like that's
there's a slave part of Cleveland.
Yeah. I don't want to get into the details, but yeah, slave.
It's the part of Cleveland where they got the drive-through liquor stores. I do remember seeing that one part.
That's not all of Cleveland.
I hope not. I'll never forget seeing that shit when I was like 12, going to a summer track meet. I was like, Mom, what is that? That's poverty, baby. Don't look.
And you know what? That sums up why you prefer Different World right there. Like, come on.
No, it doesn't. No, because hold on. Right, let me chime back in. Well, Ray, were you done? Were you done?
No, it was not.
No.
Okay, go ahead, Ray. I'm sorry.
It's so funny because my little dings in the chat. It's like, excuse me.
Yeah, I saw it. I did just see it, and it has a 9 next to it. Like, you got 9 seconds to get it back to me, nigga. Throw that shit back. Go ahead.
First of all, another thing that you have to think about when it comes to Overton is that this is from the perspective of a New Yorker, and they all think that we're all country bumpkins. So that's another reason why Overton is hilarious to me, because that's like a New Yorker's idea of what somebody from Ohio was like.
That's pretty funny.
So that's fair.
Yeah, because I remember somebody asked me, like, am I a farmer? I'm like, nigga, no.
I remember when I first moved to Ohio, my New York friends asked me if they had malls. I'm like, yeah. my nigga.
We also have buildings. Get into it. But I forgot the point that I was gonna make. But anyway, I just think that my life more closely mirrors living single. And even when I was in college, I feel like my life was always more living single than what I'm understanding a different world to be. Because I do want to clarify that I've seen like 2 or 3 episodes. You know what I mean? Like I saw the
doesn't help. No.
But I'm saying I understand the premise of the show and I understand who some of the
Everybody is shaking their head at you right now, Raven, including
you can't like real talk. A different world is not enough.
But this is what I'm saying because I understand the premise of the show. I understand. It's black people in college. I've seen a couple episodes. Take it down a notch. Like. I mean, this nigga is over here making it seem like it's fucking Dante's Inferno. It's a sitcom about niggas in college. I understand it's near and dear to your heart, but take it down that Shakespeare shit.
It is like Dante's Inferno. In fact,
let me not. Don't go. Yeah, I was gonna help you a whole argument. Don't do that,
my nigga. I am.
Well, let me just so I get some of the overall.
So this will be the last round because then we got to actually move on to the purpose of the show.
Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna vote for living single because I want y'all to just continue to take them L's in the chats and shit.
But man, we'll take them all day.
I will
like that vindictive side of you, Feek.
Thank you. I will concede that my love for living for a different world escalated because here's the funny thing: I had no idea that a different world was set and based on real anything until after I got to Clark, and then I was like, hold on, Mr. Steagles is Pops from a different world, and I was like, Hillman is spelled
right now.
Yeah, it was weird. But anyway, I'm fucking up the words real bad. But other than that, though, the issues about whether like it being 2 different shows, y'all are forgetting, and Ray, you wouldn't know because you didn't watch it. But A Different World was a show about college for the first 3 or 4 seasons, and then became a show about young single people trying to make it for the last 5 or 6 seasons while still having niggas in college.
No, I remember. The random thing that stuck out was when Whitney and Dwayne got married, and Whitney used to sneak to get up early to brush her teeth. So when they woke up together, her breath always smelled fresh. I'm like, that's a lot of work. Like that was my whole thought about marriage from Dwayne and Whitley. So congrats on that storied couple that you keep on bringing up. But so
because it's one of the best ones so it's one of the best ones that we got. But I get your overall point. But the kind of like the collegiate lifestyle stuff, I get it overall. But living single is still very much not the real world. The only broke people person living single was it not Maxine? What was
Regine?
The cousin Regine? No.
Well, I mean, because
the goofy one. She was the only person.
Claire always had a job though. She worked at the magazine.
Yeah, but she was still like everybody else.
The unrealistic part of it as a New Yorker is the fact that they had that nice ass 3-bedroom apartment where everybody had their own bedroom. That was unreal fucking listic.
With the wall.
No, bitch, it's not happening. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
I mean, that's a $7,000
sharing the room.
In all fairness, she was a business owner, so she probably got in the housing lottery, and they had control of rent. So I'm just saying.
Whatever it takes to make you sleep at night.
That's the nerdiest thing you said on this show. That analytically sound defense.
Listen, all right. So, you speak. You already voted. So, I mean, that ends the whole vote.
Yeah, I'm voting for living single. Fuck y'all niggas.
All right. Well, living single it is. Shout out to I'll Do It for Hip Hop. I'll be on that show soon to take my lumps. They've been leading.
Shout out to Rock Manny who's saying that. Can I just read off what he said? Just so we can laugh at this shit later. Oh, I'm getting you when I talk to you, son. He said the show that Different World leaned heavily on stereotypes. It was kind of hack. Living single was more sophisticated.
That's right. Talk that rock.
This is so wrong. This nigga's sleepy.
Sophisticated?
Right. Yeah. No, it clearly was, guys.
That's a biased ass argument if I ever heard one.
He said lawyers and businesswomen. I guess. I mean, true, but no. Unlike friends that could afford the apartment they lived in, which is still negative. That's still not true. But they can afford it better than the people from Friends. I'll give you that. So moving on. So let's get to let's go ahead and squeeze through these rounds so we can argue Martin versus Fresh Prince, because we all know that's what's going to eventually happen. So Ray, what was the it was Fresh Prince versus Boondocks, I think was the matchup.
So I'm going to give you a tip from podcaster to podcaster. Don't shit on the next thing.
Come on, Pete.
Do it.
Let's get through this BS so we can finish this show.
No, because I want to argue the main event. I want to get to the championship round because I'm not sure how that was going to go. Okay. We know how the first two matchups are going to go, so we got to get to the championship. It's kind of like in Dragon Ball Z. It's like we know you're going to beat the motherfucker and get okay. No, it's like in America's Next Top Model, where you know. Come on, no, dog. Is that we
were rooting for you, Feek. We were rooting for you.
Well, let me just shut up for a second. I talked a lot in the last section. Let me shut the fuck up.
I'm here for it.
One who could say it. So, because last time he to shut the fuck up, it went bad.
Shout out to the year-end show. That's so good.
Guys ready?
If you're a Patreon contributor, you can go and figure out why that joke is so funny.
Okay, guys. So in the next round, we have the Fresh Prince going up against the Boondocks. Even though I really love the Boondocks, I don't think that this is. It's clear. It's obvious who's going to win this one. Mm-hmm. Just because, like, I mean, okay, we've already discussed the accolades of the Boondocks, but we've also discussed the shortcomings of the Boondocks. I don't think that the Boondocks is a show that could have come out today as it is, as is. I think that it benefited a lot. Like the first 3 seasons, I'll say mostly benefited from not really being around when like Twitter was really big.
True.
I remember the 4th season, Twitter was pretty big by then and it got ripped to shreds, but it also wasn't any good. But I don't think that this show has aged as well as the Fresh Prince. Being, not want to call it hypocritical, but I will say that the thing that I think makes the Fresh Prince a better show than the Boondocks is that there were valuable lessons that you learned in the Fresh Prince that you didn't get from the Boondocks. And even though like the show overall, as far as like the Fresh Prince was not corny, I'm trying to find the good words to put it, but I feel like it's another one of those shows that it was typical and it snuck its blackness in a little bit. It snuck its blackness in. It got a little bit less black as we went over to Great Value, Aunt Viv.
Fresh Prince was hopeful. Maybe is that a word that works?
Yeah, and I feel like a part of the reason why the show was so hopeful is because they had so much fucking money.
Yeah,
like that. And the thing that I do like about the Boondocks is that it was from the perspective of niggas with new money and how they act and things that they do, and growing up in the suburbs when you're from the hood. When you grow up next to your neighbor who has a really good job and a white wife and a biracial clueless ass daughter. I mean, like, I think that it did touch on those, but that wasn't, even though that was like the idea of the show, that wasn't the premise of the Boondocks. Versus the premise of the Fresh Prince it was like this fish out of water character who stayed himself despite being in not just like a middle class, but like rich as fuck.
Like upper middle class.
Right.
Nigga.
He was rich. He wasn't upper middle class.
Yeah.
The daddy was a judge. They had money.
Like in California, where rent is that high in the house they had. Yeah.
They're not in Baldwin Hills, my nigga. They're in Delaware.
Yeah. One thing that disappoints me about Boondocks that you just kind of maybe think of is if you follow the comic strip, Huey actually has a crush on, what's the girl's name?
Jasmine.
And that actually was really integral to his character because they touched on this a little bit in one episode. There's one episode that's still to me the at least resonates the most with me, which is the episode where he's seeing the agent everywhere and he doesn't know if the agent is real, and he's like contemplating his own place in the black struggle and whether or not he's going to let it consume him to the point of like, madness. And so that particular like story thread in the comic strip is with his relationship with Jasmine, because Jasmine has this innocence about her, and on one end he finds it naive and grating, and on the other end he finds it hopeful, and he's in the, you know, for lack of a better way of putting it, when you're talking about like fictional 10-year-olds, he's attracted to it, and he struggles with like trying to figure out how he's supposed to respond. The thing I love about Boondocks that is kind of there and kind of not is that it's black as hell without making it seem like there's no consequences to that type of like way of thinking and living. You know what I'm saying? When you're deep in the struggle like that, when you're on your Sean the hell is his light skinned dude name that's like always in there.
King?
No, man. King.
Yeah.
Like when you're on that Sean King, like I don't know what Sean King does when he gets off Twitter and Facebook. Like does he chill and watch Game of Thrones? Does he like what is sex with Sean King like?
Okay, damn.
How did we get here?
I mean, no, I'm just saying.
You were doing so well.
That out. Oh God.
But just okay. For a second.
I don't want to know. Sean King is like.
Here's the thing. All right.
I never
King smacked like a girl in the behind.
Disgusted. So there's that.
Okay. Anyways, so I'm going to take a slightly different approach. We all know what's going to happen, so I ask in preparation for the next round and this one as well. We know the pros of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. What are some of the cons? What are some of the things that you look at Fresh Prince and you're just like, that wasn't so great? Because I thought of this question probably about a minute ago, and I'm struggling to come up with many. Now, the respectability, maybe. It wasn't.
I don't think Fresh Prince had respect.
And that's the thing about it, though. Like it wasn't like the Cosby Show. That was one of the appeals for me. And
this is one thing, and I don't necessarily think it's a con, but I think that it is kind of like it. I don't think that Will, being the fish out of water, he wasn't. He wasn't like even though they were trying to portray him kind of as like this kid from the hood, Will Smith wasn't a kid from the hood.
Right.
He was urban. You know what I mean? Like he listened to rap music and, all that other stuff and said like, yo, 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 and talked about honeys and stuff like that. But they didn't play to the whole, he's from the hood. They didn't make him like a gangster kid. He was a good kid that was just from the hood.
Right. Right.
And so... I don't think that was necessarily where the show was trying to go. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that they were trying to make it Will was some thug ass kid from the hood who got sent to his bougie ass uncle's house and they changed him for the better. And I think that's how they took the respectability out of it. Where it's like Will was just a good kid. He got into one fight. I know when I grew up, I got my back dirty a lot. We was fighting all the damn time. So he got in one fight and mom was like, fuck that, you're not doing that. You're going to live with your rich uncle.
Hey, I know that you are the youngest on this call, but you just sounded like you were 63 years old saying you got your back dirty. Just want to point that
out. That's not a thing? My bad. Yeah, but we used to fight all the time. So yeah. I do think and I don't necessarily think that that's a con of the show because that was never really what they tried to make it out to be.
So can I suggest, and this is what I was saying earlier, I want to save the breakdown of the Fresh Prince for when it faces
all right, for championship. Fair enough.
Time.
Because I think there's a really interesting clash of styles there that was going to tease out some good convos. So let's go ahead and talk about how Martin beats this trash living single show that shouldn't have made it there.
Wow.
I wouldn't go that far. See, that's not a hill that I want to die on.
I'm sorry. I'm just
saying. I don't think
all we need.
So we're clear,
is a little help. Like you really okay? All right, let's go. Next matchup we have Martin versus Living Single, because obviously, in case we need to say it, Fresh Prince wins to the championship. Congrats! All right, so Living Single versus Martin. Anybody want to start?
I will start. And I will just say this. The reason why I believe that Martin beats out Living Single is because Martin was funnier. Martin had more iconic moments. And Martin has found a way to nuzzle itself into the black lexicon. Mm. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's found a way to make itself a real hardcore, sure way staple.
Yeah.
And I mean, because like, I know that whenever you deal with niggas and you like, oh, what shows do you have on DVD? 9 times out of 10, it's Martin.
Martin and the Wire. Yeah.
Everybody has the Martin disc. I have all the seasons of Martin. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has all the seasons. So I would say that that's the reason why it beats Living Single. Now I'm not to diminish it, but I would say that a part of the reason why I think Living Single hasn't dug as deep as Martin is, one, because it's a show that's based around women, and we know niggas, we know men. So there's that. But also, Living Single is not available digitally very many places, and it doesn't get replayed very many places.
Yeah.
That's an interesting thing to think about. I wonder, because I didn't know that till you mentioned that on the episode, the last one. Mm-hmm. And I do wonder if Living Single had more time to reproduce in different generations, would it hold up stronger than it does?
And I think it would. And I think the same thing about A Different World, because if A Different World would have gotten the same amount of play as, let's say, for example, how Fresh Prince is, you can you can turn on the TV at any time and there's probably an episode of Fresh Prince playing.
That is the truest shit ever seen.
Yeah.
So, like, what
if TBS would have picked up Different World, right?
Yeah. So it's like, or like Martin, I think it comes on VH1, it comes on MTV, like these get reproduced a lot. And I think that's made it so that it could nuzzle its way into the consciousness of everybody and into the pop culture of everybody. And I think that a lot of shows suffer because they didn't get that.
So I'm partially of the mind that who owns Living Single that's hoarding it? I just don't think the demand is as strong.
Queen Latifah?
Well, Queen owns it.
Well, she was an executive towards the end, is what she said.
Right.
But
I don't know who owns it, but from my understanding, a big part of the reason of why they weren't able to get that they aren't able to play it and to distribute it is because they had a lot of like performances from artists, and
so like
the artists. Yeah, and so they couldn't get the rights to the music, or they came on and did a live performance. Heavy D was on there, or whoever was on there. You know what I mean? And it's like they did live music on the show. And so it's a lot harder to get the rights to those music because music labels don't want to let, wrap it up. The rappers or whoever the artist, whoever owns the rights to those music doesn't want to give them up, or it's just too expensive. And they don't think that it'll be worth it to put in the money to get the rights to those songs to be able to produce the show.
I mean, I can see that. I don't know. So like but I'm not saying that what you're saying is incorrect. I just want to offer the counter idea that I still am struggling right now, and help me out, you and Teddy, of the iconic Living Single moments and or funny moments. So I give you Maxine and Overton getting together.
Kyle.
And Kyle, I'm sorry, I'm tripping.
Conversation right there because you're struggling.
Give you Maxine and Kyle getting together.
I would also say Kyle having the episode about his hair at work, where there was he was a lawyer. There was a brother that came to him just like, yo, you need to cut your hair. And it turns out the white people that employed him didn't even think that. It was just the brother at work, trying to push some Cosby stuff on him.
I would go and say the time that Maxine was fired from her job for standing up for herself.
Yeah.
These sound cool.
But
we're not doing this.
But you know what?
He's not convinced, y'all. Why are y'all?
I'm just not convinced.
Don't do it, y'all. Don't do it. Don't fall into it. Don't do it.
I'm just not convinced. I just like when I think about iconic moments from all these other shows, this doesn't really hold up.
I get that. But the issue is for you, Feek, that argument is over and you had your opportunity.
No, I'm just talking about. Well,
stop because we already know who's going to win this round, and we're just talking for the sake of having the conversation. But you just can't.
I voted for living single. I don't even know what you're trying to go on about.
To be petty. Oh, I just feel like
I learned from the best.
You should go ahead and let it go that you threw away your vote. Thanks for voting for Bernie Sanders, but so I think that what you should do is go ahead and get with this, or shut the hell up and read that damn magazine, girl. I started watching Flavor of Love. Sorry. Shut your ass up and you read that damn magazine, girl.
You're a Dwayne, bro. All right.
Anyway.
All right. So can we all agree the vote is in and Martin proceeds to the championship round as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's do this.
Okay. Here we go.
So championship round, it is between the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and Martin. So wait, before we get started, initial vote, before we make any arguments for anybody. Who has who? Teddy?
I have Martin.
Feet?
Fresh Prince.
Lloyd?
I gotta go with Fresh Prince on this one.
Ray.
Okay, great. I don't know.
You can't do that, Ray. You can't do that.
Damn it, Ray.
That's not how any of this works. What's your initial?
All right.
This is what you guys can do.
But hold on, no, Ray, you're not getting out of this. What's your initial vote?
The funny, I wish I could see me because I'm like not facing the camera. I'm not facing my laptop. I'm looking, staring directly into my closet, into the distance. I can't.
Okay, I'm not gonna force Ray.
I am. No, stop. Hold on.
No. Ray is only weak when it comes to this particular issue of picking a show.
Not true.
Two things.
Not true, because Ray did this to me when it was The Wire and Martin. I went out on the limb and I went with The Wire, and she went Martin. So Ray, you asked the question. You have to answer the question as well.
That is fair.
That's some bullshit ass rules.
Yo, bro.
Initial. You know, Rihanna has a really nice perfume bottle for people to do. Guys. Okay. Between Martin and Fresh Prince. I know what I'm gonna do. I got it. I'm gonna vote initial idea Fresh Prince.
Okay. All right.
Oh, thank God. We don't have to get no more hate mail because of Teddy.
Whatever.
Teddy, his bad.
I think I'm on the side of the people on this one, y'all.
I don't think you are.
I really, really do. Like, y'all, listen. So go ahead. Fresh Prince. I want to hear it, please.
So I think this is, so I'll give you this. This will not be the same backlash as Different World either way, depending on who ends up being the pick. I'm probably not changing my pick, but maybe Lloyd will, and then we'll turn you guys turn Ray. But this is the difference between styles. You have in Martin, and I went back and watched some more Martin since our last conversation. I was like, yeah, I'm with it. I get it. I was wrong. Martin is a perfection of black 90s comedy stylings from Martin Lawrence. It's basically his stand-up style distilled over 13 episodes over what, 7 seasons, 6 seasons? 5 seasons. He's at the height of his powers. He was, it seems like every 5 or 6 years, a black comedian speaks for black people in a massive way. Like right now, it's Kevin Hart, even though I don't know if he's a true heir to the throne, but that also might be a sign of the times. Yeah, and before him was Dave Chappelle.
Because Chappelle never really let go of the crown.
No, he clearly let go. That's a whole other show. Yeah. See, this is why you're wrong about stuff all the time.
You are not going to out nerd me on this one. You're wrong. Go on. Go on. My point is that I'll give you all the video games in the world, but don't talk to me about Chappelle. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, my point is that you have Martin is of this perfection of just comedic timing and style and funny, and then you have The Fresh Prince was this perfection of TV and a show. It's funny, but it's heartwarming, and you love everybody on the show, and it touches you sometimes. It has those random episodes where, you know, like there's as many people that post the last scene of Will hugging Uncle Phil regarding his father as people that post the scene where they're doing the Apache dance. You see what I'm saying? Fresh Prince is universal. White people, if they were voting this, would still be voting for Fresh Prince.
Wait, do you mean that as a plus? That more white people like the show?
I mean it just to prove the point that it was a perfect TV show. It was a TV show that was distilled to it distilled all the features of a TV show down to this perfect essence of what it was trying to do, and it didn't fail on anything. Martin had some dud episodes, but I will never laugh at anything on Fresh Prince like I laughed at the funniest things on Martin. So my vote really just came down to saying, what is the best black TV show, the greatest of all time? I still had to give it to Fresh Prince, even though I can't say that anything on Fresh Prince matched up to Don't You Know No Good.
So you're saying that Martin was funnier, but the Fresh Prince was the better show.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
I can shut the fuck up now. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Lloyd. Hit me.
Yeah, that's pretty much my reasoning here. Martin has some iconic moments. You know, I remember the squirrel thing when they were on vacation. The scene where he came in, had everybody dressed in black like he was Nino Brown with the stuffed dog. Like, you know.
I literally posted that picture today. Yeah.
Like, iconic moments. But so did the Fresh Prince. The difference is I feel like the Fresh Prince is more readily available to everyone. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, it's easier to access.
Okay. I'll go and then we'll finish with Ray, since I know Ray is having an
Ray got that asterisk. It's like 10 minutes late.
I'm not staring in my closet.
What are you doing?
For me, let me say first, I love Fresh Prince. It is a show that when I see it on TV, I stop and I watch it. And you're right, it is a very heartfelt show. You can have a lot of touching moments mixed in with comedy, and yeah, it had a much larger appeal than Martin did. What needs to be said about Martin as well, though, is it was our generation's breakthrough black comedy. You know, you had a couple of shows that did well, but Martin is the one that, without a doubt, has stood the test of time. And to me, I think it gets notoriety amongst the black community, but I still think there's white people out there that don't know how funny that show was. Legitimately, they just don't know. So yeah, I agree. Fresh Prince was more widespread.
See, I don't think white people could ever appreciate Martin. Martin vibrated on a purely Negro level.
So, but I disagree, man. Like I think that it seemed
Negroes and Negresses.
But I think it may have resonated more with us. But I think plenty of white people can look at Martin and laugh. I just don't think it got the exposure. I just don't. And mind you, it was a lead-in to Living Single as well, which, you know, needs to be said. Shout out to Fox putting in work with them, and then Undercover.
The New York Undercover that same night.
Come on.
That was the blackest on television.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
It's
from the most racist network ever. That's great, man.
Right,
so,
right. Before Fox News was a thing, they had the three of the top 10 black shows.
So, like, I feel like as far as networks, like, Fox at least gets an honorable mention.
I was so confused when Fox News became a thing, but I was like, they had Martin and In Living Color.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah.
And probably some other stuff I can't think of. You know?
You know what? Half and half, right? I'm sorry. All right, moving on. All right, so no, she's still standing at the closet. I'll also say this about Martin. It is, if I had to pick a comedy, and that's what these two shows are, ultimately, they're two comedic shows, that if somebody said you can only watch one for the rest of your life, I would pick Martin hands down, man. Like, there is timeless humor in those episodes that you remember the critique that you had, Ray, against The Wire, that some of the technology makes it seem dated. Martin had plenty of that, but to me, that doesn't even stop that's nothing. That's nothing to me in the way of stopping the humor that Martin gives me as a viewer. And I just, man, if the last round counted so much towards iconic moments and, you know, things that made you stand up, laugh, share it with people, however you shared humor back in the day before the internet, like, yo, Martin is one of the greatest TV shows of all time. All that being said, Fresh Prince was great. I just don't think, like, I think it's the whole appeal of what's a good comparison? I can't even make that. It's like Fresh Prince was like, you know, that's disrespectful. But yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Fresh Prince is like Drake and Martin is like Nas. You know what I mean? Like, I guess.
Yeah, I get it. I get that to an extent. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I know it's not perfect. Yeah, but
I get overall.
Yeah,
because Drake is the perfect rapper.
Yeah, like on paper, I get it. Like, absolutely, a mixed dude with Memphis.
But the difference is, right? But the difference is Drake. I find his music soulless, and you can't make that criticism about Fresh Prince. You can't watch the last Fresh Prince episode I watched randomly, as Ray put it a second ago before she went to radio silence on our asses. Was that like a Fresh Prince is on all the time? When it's on, you watch it. And so the last episode I just happened to see was the episode where they got pulled over riding in the Benz by the police and were profiled and yada yada yada. And like it did not, like, it still felt right. Because I've seen episodes about police, you know, racial profile and police brutality and other shows then and now, since, you know, the public awareness of police brutality has risen, and it always makes me cringe because, like, oh, y'all really missed the point here, or oh, y'all got this all wrong, or whatever. But this still worked. It still worked what they did, because they went there just enough to make it clear without Tyler Perrying the issue.
True. Yeah, you know and that needs to be said, even though I'm not voting for him. Fresh Prince was never preachy.
Yeah.
And that's hard to say.
It felt like it was black people that understood the nuance of the problem writing about the issue, as opposed to white people trying to show how non-racist they are by making this police officer extra racist. Sure. Which really just absolves the white people watching of guilt, because they're like, well, we're not that racist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But once again, though, I'm not saying the Fresh Prince was bad. I'm just saying, if you had to pick, it's got to be Martin. Ray, tell me it's Martin.
Come out the closet, Ray.
No, it's nice in here.
I would make a South Park trapped in the closet joke, but I don't know.
Why do people still watch South Park?
Well, I don't really watch it, but that trapped in the closet episode was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, I just never understood South Park. Go ahead, Ray. Go ahead.
I was hoping this answer would keep on so I could think more. Okay. I don't know. Okay. So this is what
TV1 versus TBS. Come on.
I've been batting this around in my head, so hopefully you guys can try and talk me through it. So I think that Martin is a better black TV show. And The Fresh Prince is just a better TV show.
That happens to star black people.
That happens to star black people. Now, what I've been trying to think of in my head is if we switched out everybody in The Fresh Prince to white people, or to, you know, Latino people, or any other race of people, would the show still work? Versus if we were to switch out the people in Martin, would that still work?
Hillary's character would still work. Sure.
So the show would still work in Fresh Prince, although at a much lower level.
Yeah, it would
work
be
at all for Martin.
It would be a very, very surface area show, because I mean there are still very, very deep strains of blackness in the show. For example, when Uncle Phil had that conversation with Will about seeing Malcolm X speak and them getting pulled over, and even
one of my favorites was the episode where I think Carlton was trying to join a black fraternity.
Yes.
And they wouldn't let him in because they thought he was too white.
Yo, and for the record, you were saying that Martin had some bad episodes. Fresh Prince had a couple duds too, if we're being honest.
I can't think of any.
When they were at college with Tyra Banks?
What if they're duds? Maybe that's puberty talking, but every time Tyra Banks was on the screen, I was with it.
I'm with it. Big forehead, it was some bad ones. Go ahead, Ray. Sorry.
Over 6 seasons, 20-something episodes per season, some of them were bound to be duds. Like, that's just numbers,
That's just game of odds right there.
Yeah, it is what it is. Some of them, they're just not all going to be great. Hold on. I'm sorry, my dog started barking at somebody. So that's kind of when I've been batting around in my head, because it's not, for me, I'm trying to think of what's the best black TV show and not just the better show. You know what I mean?
So let me come with the rules real quick. So the criteria, I forgot this last piece of criteria. It had to be a show with either a majority black cast or a majority with either some combination of majority black cast and of clear and intentional black interests, which is why shows like The Wire and New York Undercover still make it in. They both had large black casts. I don't know if it's necessarily majority for both of them, technically speaking, but they also were clearly a black interest without being as black as, say, a Martin, or some of the other shows we mentioned up until this point. If that helps. I don't know if that helps. It just gets you back in the closet. Hopefully I didn't send you back to the closet.
Because
that didn't mean anything to me.
That what she was talking about, no.
That didn't mean anything to me. But I'm just saying, like, not in a sense of, because I'm trying to think of, like, if I was to choose between, because I can't just really go with if they were both on, if one was on TV, which one would I watch? Because I would watch Living Single. But I don't know. I'd rather die. Because it's really hard for me, because I feel like it's a show that it's comparing apples and oranges. And though when I think about the widespread, like the iconic, when you think about the iconic moments of Fresh Prince versus Martin, they all have very, very iconic moments, and they're iconic for different reasons. And it's all just depends on what you're looking for in that day. You know what I mean? Like, if I'm just looking for some feel good fun, I will probably watch Martin. I mean, you could watch Fresh Prince too, but if you catch the wrong episode, you're not going to be on your feel good shit.
So let me just remind you, the name of the show is Blacketology. And you made a good point when you said, if you had to choose the better black show, it would be Martin. I'm just saying, do it for the culture, Ray. Do it for the culture.
Make a damn decision. I'm sleeping.
She already did. She chose Fresh Prince. Shit, motherfuckers won. Don't let Teddy make you think
When
you
did she
didn't make a decision.
I didn't hear it.
She said at the beginning.
No, she didn't. She said that was her initial vote, sir.
Oh.
So what is your vote, Raven? Come out of the damn closet, girl. What are you doing?
What if I give you some of my mama's biscuits? What? Yo, you said your dog was barking. Was it the same dog that Martin had?
That's not a damn dog, Gina. I really wish I had a quarter, because I would flip a coin to be done with it, but I don't have one on me. Okay. Best black show.
Blacketology.
So let me chime in real quick.
No, wait, she's about to decide, Pete.
Let me help sway her back into the space where we don't get clowned in the chat again. Because it's Teddy. Because you're trying to get clowned again.
No, I'm not. Yo, Pete, this is a legitimate choice that our sister has to make. Let's give her some space, okay? Back up. Don't try to mansplain what Ray feels about these TV shows.
Yeah, both of y'all niggas shut up. Look, girl, I am sleepy. Make a damn decision.
I got an 18-month-old. How old is that?
She's 11 months old, and I'm tired. So, what's your decision, Raven? Y'all stop talking. This is what she want. What's your decision?
First of all, bitch, you don't know me.
But I do.
Okay.
Martin or Fresh Prince? Girls, there's
Martin.
really no wrong.
She said Martin. There it is. Okay. Let's go. Let's go. All right. So this has been an incredible series.
So this is the thing. We're half and half at this point.
Yes.
Even though this was a stupid suggestion from Feek in the beginning, it applies now as a good suggestion. Mm-hmm. What we're going to do is we're going to put a poll in the chat, and we're going to let y'all be the tiebreaker.
Wait, can we say like there's a certain span of time? Let's do,
We'll have the vote up there until we record our next.
How about this? This is what we'll do. We will leave the poll and the votes open to you guys, and we will announce who won. I mean, of course, you guys will probably be able to see it, but we will announce. We're going to put the poll in the Black Astronauts podcast group on Facebook. For you guys or listeners who haven't made your way over there, we're going to put the poll in the group, and we are going to
1 week. Until we record the next BAP.
Yeah, I was about to say
that comes out, we will announce who officially won. So we are not accepting votes via email. We are not accepting votes via tweets. We are accepting votes solely in the Black Astronauts podcast Facebook group. With that being said, once you hear this, if you did not vote in the group, don't write me no motherfucking letters about who should have did what. You had your opportunity to vote. You passed it up. Quit not voting for Hillary just because you don't fucking like it.
And before we close out,
I'd have voted for Different World over Fresh Prince. I did that shit.
Okay. You want to know what's crazy is when I came in and we first started talking about Different World, I was willing to concede that Different World may be a better show, but then you voted for Living Single and I didn't want to argue anymore.
Perfect. All right.
Look at how much pain it's caused us even further down the line.
I love it. I want to thank a couple people that were involved that weren't here tonight. Shout out to Ceewhy, who was on one of the shows. Was anybody else from the network on, or was it just Ceewhy?
I think that was it. I think Ceewhy was the only guest that didn't make it. I think Crystal was on one of them, wasn't she?
No, she was supposed to be, and then I fell asleep. So no. Crystal wasn't. All right. And also, we want to thank our sponsor coming February 16th, Black Panther. Black Panther in theaters now. Please run to the closest movie theater to buy your ticket and or start the revolution. We thank you. And as always, where can they find you, y'all? Lloyd.
You can find me at
you can find me at @thatgirl_Lloyd on Twitter and IG. And if you want to see my cute ass baby, she'll be on my Snapchat. You can figure it out from there.
Perfect.
I'm tired.
Feek.
You can find me at Feek Blurman, FIQ_BLERDMAN on Twitter. I haven't tweeted in a while, but had a lot going on, so we'll get back to that.
So theoretically, you can find him.
Yeah, right. So just like
theoretically. You can find tweets from like when Barack Obama was still president.
All right, Ray.
Back in the time when the president had sense,
Jesus.
The little things you took for granted.
Jesus. Ray.
Ray, come out the closet, Ray.
It's okay, bro.
I did it. Rocking back and forth, agonizing over my choices. You can find me all over the internet at ThisZetasAJerk.
All right. You can find me Teddy_D_ on Twitter, Dwight Ted on Instagram. And you have 1 week to decide the final winner between Martin and Fresh Prince via the BAP Facebook group. We appreciate it, y'all. Catch y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.